Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. My brothers and sisters, I want to make a special video for you guys, and I have made a video similar to this before, but a few years ago. Today, updated. I'm 30 years old now, but what advice would I give to myself if I was 20 years old again? Look, things have changed. When I was 20 years old, I was working a job in recruitment, and my main aim at the time was to, be on 35,000 pounds a year. I wanted promotions. I wanted my manager to be happy with me. I wanted my director to be happy with me. And some of the advices I would give to myself, I want to share with you because I know some of you guys will be going through similar situations. And you're worried about your job. You're worried about your education. Be worried, of course. Take it seriously. Take every single situation seriously. As Muslims, I think it's very important to always work hard in whatever you're doing, whether that's education, whether that's your job, and being sincere and honest and not lying. 100% always. However, it is completely okay to fail. And I think that's very, very important because sometimes we have in our minds that if I fail, my life is over. I'm finished. Nothing is going to happen past this failure. Reality is very different. Actually, the people that learn from their failure are probably going to see more success than the ones that never failed. Because failing is important. You learn a lot from it. In fact, when I was 17, 18, I didn't do that well in education. I really didn't believe I could become something just because I didn't do well in education. Having said that, now at 30 years old, I would tell myself at 18, 19, 20, it's possible. You can work hard, and maybe education's not for you, but maybe the real world, in terms of business, in terms of starting something, is for you. Maybe you're just someone who speaks well and communicates well, and actually that might get you very far. You see, having a job is very important, but even in a job, your personality is very important. If you have a good personality, you'll see promotions, you'll see progression, people will be happy with you, and actually, your personality will get you much further many a times than even your academic education. Moving on, I would also say it is important for you to take the advice of people around you, but don't take it as the only advice. Because the reality is this: no one is going to pay your bills for you. There will only be a very few amount of people that will want good for you, and a very few amount of people will give you the right advice. Not because they don't want good for you, but actually because they're limited to the advice that they can give. If you have an uncle who has worked for 30, 40, 50 years and has seen progression and now is a director on £100,000 a year, though yes, he might be able to tell you how to get to £100,000 a year, but he might not be able to tell you how to set up £1 million company because he's not done it. So take advice of those where you should take advice from, but be limited in running ideas by people. Be limited in whose advice you take, because it's very important. How you take your advice will move you to how you change your life and which area you go towards. And when you're young, you come up with a ton of business ideas, like a ton. I'll come up with a business idea every day when I was like 18, 19, 20 years old. Sometimes I would say, just go and do it. Go and just try. Because what is the worst that can happen? The worst is you'll fail, you'll learn from it, you'll try again, you'll fail, you'll learn from it. But I promise you this much: if you fail in 5 businesses and then you pick up from there, you'll be a totally different person. You would have learned so much. And so learn and fail, it's amazing. And in fact, I would say it's one of the best educations. Learning and starting something, and if you fail, having a hurdle, not understanding something, going and finding that information. In fact, I would say most of the things that I know are probably just because I tried, I did it, I found something out, I then tried again. I, came up with issues and hurdles and just tried to find information out. And that's the best advice that I could share with you. Now, why is it our targets are so low when we're in our youth? Why is it that we're not reaching for the stars? Ask a 3, 4, 5-year-old and they'll say they want to become an astronaut. They'll say ridiculous things. Save the world. Ridiculous things. But as we get older, we go to school, we go to college and university, our minds do get limited by jobs, by do this and do X and do X. Why is it we don't reach for the stars when we're 20, 21, 22? Because actually, we've got a whole life in front of us. Assuming that we live to 60. If Allah Azza wa Jal gives life to us until 60 years old, 40 years. Do you know the amount of things you could achieve in 40 years? If you said to me, you have 40 years to live, if, for example, I would say that's so much time. Like, I don't know if there's a limit to what I can achieve, and I would just keep working and I would just keep doing what I'm doing because I believe there isn't really a limit to what I could achieve. I would give myself advice on: be good to your parents, study the deen of Allah Azza wa Jal, study Islam. It is important. And so if I was 18, 19, 20, I would say those years I had time. Of course, we still try to do what we can, of course. But I would say at that age I had time. Maybe I didn't have family, I didn't have responsibility. So I would say spend time on your religion. Spend time studying. Learn the Quran more. Learn whatever you can more in terms of the deen, and be good to your parents. Be good to your parents, be good to people, and be good to people around you. You know, fix yourself as a man, as your personality, and be good to people. And I think that's very important. In our youth, if you start doing that, then that can only improve as age goes on with more maturity. And so, no doubt, I would say do that. So that is my advice to myself if I was 20 again. And hopefully you guys, inshallah, if many of you guys are 20, you can take this advice on. Reach for the stars, aim high, start businesses. You can do it, man. Like, I'm with you all the way. And if you don't believe so, message me on Instagram. Ask me. Ask me for advice. I'm there for you, and I will voice note you back, inshallah. If I don't, it's not because I ignored you. It's because I didn't see the message. So message me again. Barakallahu feek. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.